She grabbed my hand and said, "Just for tonight, pretend you love me." By the next morning, Monday mornings were always chaos at Ashford Global. Phones rang non-stop. Executives rushed through the lobby. Coffee disappeared faster than anyone could refill it. I was simply another employee trying not to get noticed. My name is Noah Carter. 29. Executive assistant. Invisible. That morning started like every other. Until I heard someone shouting, "Where is he?" The voice echoed across the executive floor. Everyone froze. Victoria Ashford, CEO, 32, America's youngest self-made billionaire. Brilliant, demanding, impossible to impress. She stormed toward my desk wearing a navy business suit that looked more expensive than my yearly salary. She pointed directly at me. "Come with me." Before I could answer, she grabbed my wrist and pulled me toward the private elevator. Every employee stared. Half of them looked sorry for me. The other half looked relieved it wasn't them. The elevator doors closed. Silence. Victoria stared at the floor. Then suddenly, she laughed. Not politely, not professionally, nervously. "I need a favor." I blinked. "I'm listening." She took a deep breath. "My parents are hosting an anniversary gala tonight. So, my fiancé is cheating on me." I froze. "I'm sorry. He doesn't know I know." She folded her arms. "He expects me to show up smiling while he introduces me to investors." "So, what does that have to do with me?" She looked directly into my eyes. "I need someone to pretend they're hopelessly in love with me." I laughed. She didn't. "You can't be serious." "I'm completely serious." The elevator stopped. She stepped out, then looked back. "I'm paying you." By 6 o'clock that evening, I was wearing a tuxedo that cost more than my car. Victoria stood beside me adjusting my tie. Too stiff. I've never fake dated a billionaire before. I noticed. She smiled for the first time. It changed her entire face. She suddenly looked less like a CEO, and more like someone exhausted from pretending to be strong. "Rule number 1, she whispered. "Stay close." I nodded. "Rule number 2, she reached for my hand. "If photographers are watching," she intertwined our fingers. "Don't let go." Flash, flash, flash. The cameras exploded the second we stepped onto the red carpet. Reporters shouted questions. "Victoria, who is he? What happened to Daniel? Are you two dating?" She leaned closer. "So far." I whispered back. "I think they're buying it." She smiled without looking at me. "They'd better." Inside the ballroom, hundreds of guests stopped talking. Every eye followed us. At the center stood Daniel. Tall, perfect smile, perfect tuxedo, perfect liar. His smile disappeared the second he saw our hands. Victoria squeezed mine. Hard. "Smile." I did. Daniel walked toward us. "What exactly is this?" Victoria answered before I could. "This." She looked at me with surprising warmth. "This is the man who actually makes me happy." The room fell silent. Daniel laughed. "Cute." Then he looked at me. "You have no idea what game you're playing." Before I could respond, Victoria wrapped both hands around my arm. "Oh, he knows exactly enough." Daniel's jaw tightened. He walked away. The orchestra started playing again. People pretended nothing had happened. But whispers spread across the ballroom like wildfire. I leaned closer. "I think we survived." Victoria didn't answer. She was staring across the room. At her father. His expression wasn't angry. It was terrified. "What is it?" I asked. She whispered only 4 words. "He wasn't expecting you." I frowned. "What do you mean?" Before she could answer, an elderly woman approached us. She smiled at me, then said something that made the blood drain from Victoria's face. "I always wondered when he'd come back." I looked at her. "I'm sorry." The woman frowned. "You don't remember this house, do you, Noah?" I had never met her before. At least, I didn't think I had. The ballroom suddenly felt too quiet. The elderly woman looked at me with confusion. "You really don't remember?" she asked softly. Victoria stepped between us. "I think you've mistaken him for someone else." But the woman shook her head. "No, those eyes." She smiled sadly. "They're exactly like his mother's." Before I could ask another question, Victoria's father hurried over. "Margaret," he said firmly. "The guests are waiting." He gently led the woman away. But not before she whispered one last sentence. "Some truths always find their way home." What was that about? I asked. Victoria didn't answer. Instead, she grabbed my arm. We're leaving. Outside, the cold night air finally let us breathe. She leaned against the limousine. I'm sorry. For what? For dragging you into my family's mess. My job description never mentioned fake relationships. She laughed. Neither of us noticed we were still holding hands. Until the driver cleared his throat. The next morning, every newspaper carried the same headline. WHO is the mystery man beside Billionaire CEO Victoria Ashford. Social media exploded. Some people called me a gold digger. Others claimed we had secretly dated for months. By lunchtime, the company cafeteria fell silent every time I walked in. That afternoon, Victoria called my office. Now, when I entered, she looked exhausted. There are lawyers downstairs. For Daniel, she nodded. He wants half of everything. But you weren't married. He claims we built our future together. She sighed. I never should have trusted him. For the first time, she didn't look like a billionaire. She looked like someone whose heart had been broken. A week passed. The fake relationship continued, not because the media believed it, but because neither of us knew how to stop pretending. We laughed over coffee, worked late together, argued about everything, then laughed again. Somewhere along the way, pretending became effortless. One rainy evening, we stayed in the office long after everyone had gone home. The lights of the city shimmered through the glass walls. Victoria looked at me. Can I ask you something? Anything. She smiled. Why does pretending feel so real? I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Because I had been asking myself the exact same question. The next morning changed everything. An anonymous package arrived. Inside were dozens of photographs. Daniel, meeting secretly with one of Ashford Global's biggest competitors. Along with signed documents proving he planned to leak confidential company information after the wedding. Victoria stared at the evidence. So, he never loved me. No, I said quietly. He loved what he could take from you. The board of directors met that afternoon. Daniel tried to deny everything. Until the security footage appeared on the giant screen. The room fell silent. Within minutes, his contracts were terminated. The engagement officially ended. He walked out without saying goodbye. That evening, Victoria asked me to join her on the rooftop terrace. For the first time in weeks. No cameras, no reporters, no pretending, just the two of us. She looked out across the city. You know, I hired you because you were dependable. I smiled. I wasn't expecting fake dating to be part of the job. She laughed, then turned toward me. Neither was I. Silence settled between us. Comfortable, honest. She took one small step closer. When I asked you to pretend you loved me, she looked into my eyes. Why did it feel so easy? This time, I had an answer. Because somewhere between the first lie and the last headline, I stopped pretending. Her eyes filled with tears. You mean that? I've never meant anything more. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. Then she smiled. The kind of smile no camera had ever captured. She reached for my hand. Not for the photographers. Not for the board. Not for revenge. Just for me. I guess, she whispered. We don't have to act anymore. I shook my head. No. She leaned forward and kissed me beneath the city lights. Far below, the world continued chasing headlines. But for the first time, neither of us cared what tomorrow's newspapers would say. Because the greatest story we'd ever told was finally the